All right, thank you so much, guys. We once again improved to 2-0 yesterday in our last two Underdog tier membership plays on patreon.com/BrockPage. And that's a website that I operate that gives you daily premium sports picks beginning at just $1.99 through the end of the month. Now, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and take a look at some Russian Liga Pro table tennis action. And we're going to go ahead and start with Ilya Novikov taking on Oleg Kutusov, 5:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Oleg's lost 4 out of his last 6 matches, including devastating losses to the likes of Menshikov, Zolyabin, and Nemeshkalo during that stretch. Matter of fact, Oleg's only won just 3 out of his last 8 matches. Meanwhile, Novikov on the other side, winner of his last 2 straight, including a 3-0 shutout of Menshikov during that span. He also defeated Vas Shirzov in a nice hard-fought victory, 3-2 in his last match. I'm going to give the slight edge to Novikov in this spot here. Give me Ilya Novikov winning this one straight up for some moneyline cash. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Thursday's Russian Liga Pro table tennis action. Happy Thursday to you. Hopefully you're having a great week. And guys, the weekend is right around the corner. It is almost here. Now, before we go ahead and move on with the program here, I just want to quickly remind you once again to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where once again we improved to 2-0 in our last 2 Underdog tier membership plays on that website yesterday. We're also 19-10 in our last 29 crowd pleaser teasers as well. That's a very good package for us right now at the moment. Now, we do daily premium sports picks on that website beginning at just $1.99 through the end of the month. We also have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. We'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. And currently we have well over 650 members signed up and active on that page. Now you might be wondering, why would all those folks sign up to receive Patreon picks where they can get them here for free right here on YouTube? And that's certainly a great thought, a great point, a great concern. But there is a big problem with me handicapping every single game that's on the board, side and total. And the problem with that is this. If you were to bet every single game that's on the board that I put out here on YouTube, side and total, you're guaranteeing yourself failure. No, you did not mishear me. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. If you're going to bet every single game that's on the slate with your hard-earned money, it's certainly not a winning formula for success. And as a matter of fact, it is a downright recipe for disaster. The books are way too smart. They're way too sharp. They certainly have a lot more money than you and I do combined to be able to absorb that kind of action. And most important, the math becomes aggressively against you the more and more games you play like that. So what I do on Patreon is I make life a lot easier for you. I break it down and focus in on just 3 to 4 premium selections per day. They're high percentage picks, games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much, my current Patreon record is a whole lot better than it is here on YouTube, handicapping every single game on the board, side and total. And the good news is, well, if you want to check out my current Patreon record, you can actually do that for free right now. It's located right on the homepage. All you have to do is click the link in the description section below. And once again, that is patreon.com/BrockPage. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive back into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Oleg Shagarov taking on Vladimir Safonov, 5:30 p.m. start time. Vlad's won 5 out of his last 8, including solid wins against the likes of Ivanov, Minchenkov, and Petrov during that stretch. Vlad also defeated Oleg 3-2 in their last head-to-head meeting. And speaking of Shagarov, he's really struggled as of late, losing his last 2 straight and dropping 6 out of his last 7. Even worse, Oleg was shut out 3-0 in his last 2 straight matches. Shagarov was defeated by the likes of Volkov, Ivanov, and Safonov in those losses. Looks like a pure fate of Oleg in this spot here. Give me Vladimir Safonov getting the job done for some moneyline cash. Next contest, it is going to be Georgy Vladimirovich Vaknin a.k.a. GVV. I like to call him GVV. Anyway, he's taking on Vladimir Petrov, 5:30 p.m. start time. Petrov lost 3 out of his last 4 matches and was shut out by GVV during that stretch. Petrov's lost also his last 6 out of his last 8, with losses coming at the hands of Ovechnikov, Shirokov, and Krokin during that span. Now, GVV on the other side, completely different story, as he's won his last 2 straight, while also posting a record of 6-2 straight up in his last 8. Vaknin's also been winning in convincing fashion with 4 shutout victories in his last 6 wins. Now, GVV's beaten the likes of Ovechnikov, Shirokov, and Krokin during that stretch. And when it comes to head-to-head matchups, GVV's 2-0 in his last 2 meetings with Petrov, winning 3-0 and 3-1 respectively in those contests. All in all, looks like a pretty good spot for Vaknin backers. Give me Georgy Vladimirovich Vaknin, winning this one straight up in convincing fashion. Next contest, it is going to be Oleg Kutuzov squaring off against Andrei Menchikov, 6 p.m. start time. Menchikov's won 3 out of his last 4 matches, all 3-1, ironically. He's also won 5 out of his last 8 and has been absolutely dominant over Oleg in their last 3 matches. Menchie's beaten Kutuzov 3-1, 3-1, and 3-2 in their last trio of meetings. And speaking of Oleg on the other side, he's dropped 4 out of his last 6 matches, beaten by Menchikov, Zulyebin, and Nemeshkalu during that span. Not a great spot for Kutuzov backers here. Give me Andrei Menchikov winning this one straight up in a beatdown. All right, next contest, it is going to be Vladimir Shirokov taking on Vlad Petrov, 6 p.m. Eastern start. Petrov lost 3 out of his last 4, including a shutout loss to Vaknin during that stretch. Petrov also dropped 6 out of his last 8, including losses to Ovechnikov, Shirokov, and Krokin during that stretch. Meanwhile, Shirokov, on the other side, he's won 5 out of his last 8, including victories over Petrov and Ovechnikov during those wins. Shirokov's had pretty good success against Petrov recently, winning in 2 out of their last 3 head-to-head meetings, both victories coming by a score of 3-1. Looks like a pretty good spot for Shirokov here. Give me Vladimir Shirokov getting the job done in a tight one. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Danila Andreev facing off against GV Vaknin, 6:30 p.m. start time, and this has all the makings of an incredible matchup, with both men playing at an extremely high level. But despite the pleasantries, only one man can win, so let's go ahead and get into the fade. Vaknin, who I love, by the way, he has lost in 2 out of his last 5 matches. Both of those losses were 3-1 defeats at the hands of Andrei Ovechnikov. Meanwhile, on the other side, Andreev is currently on an 8-match winning streak, with solid victories coming at the expense of Krutchkov, Morozov, and Ermelin, just to name a few. Now, Danny's also got himself 2 dominant shutout victories during that current win streak. Once again, this should be a great battle here this evening. Want to keep your eyes glued to the screen or your app, whatever you do to follow these games. But I have to give the slight edge to Danila. Got to give it to Danny. Give me Danila Andreev winning this one outright in a close, hard-fought victory. All right, next contest, it is going to be Igor Menchikov squaring off against Oleg Shagarov. 6:30 p.m. start. Oleg's been ice cold lately, losing his last 2 straight and 6 out of his last 7. Now, 2 out of his last 4 losses also came by way of shutout. Menchikov, on the other side, has won 3 out of his last 5, including 2 shutout victories during that span. Igor's garnered himself marquee wins over the likes of Ivanov, Volkov, and Titov during that stretch. I got to lean Menchikov in this spot here. Give me Menchie. Give me Igor Menchikov getting the job done on the money line. All right, next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be Vlad Nemeshkalu taking on Ilya Novikov, 6:30 p.m. start time. Novikov's dropped 5 out of let's try that again. Novikov's dropped 5 out of his last 7, including a 3-1 loss to Nemeshkalu during that stretch. And speaking of Vlad on the other side, he's currently on an 8-match win streak himself, where he shut out his opponent in 2 out of his last 3. Vlad chopped down the likes of Menchikov, Zulyebin, and Kutuzov during this streak of dominance. Got to lean toward the hot hand in this one. Give me Vlad Nemeshkalo winning that one outright in convincing fashion. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shout-outs. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage. Shout out to Shame All Days, Stephen Lewis, Bobby Schroeder, JDog3217. Also got to give a shout out to Going Crazy, Zymar Tracks, Andy Raphael. Shout out to my good friend William Peterson, Brandon Saunders, Barton Wood. Also got to give a shout out, really good friend of mine here, very active in the comments section on Patreon. I'm talking about James Hammond, Mr. B, John Klotz, and of course, really, really good guy. Got to give a shout out to Mark Baldwin. A couple more guys to go here. Shout out to Pittsburgh Gentleman PA, James S., Yara Shakrishna, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my buddy DeMarcus Gill. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.